Welcome back to the Ontario Northland and HO scale. I thought it was about time that I did a progress report on where I'm at with the layout. This area hasn't really changed much. Basically, it's the same as it's been for quite a while now. The tracks in the foreground, I believe it's 5 tracks, are the Ontario Northland yard. The last one being the one with the ore train currently sitting in that track. Beyond that, you can see the CP rail GP38. So it and the 2 tracks behind are 3 staging tracks, basically, or visible staging, CP Yard, North Bay. And then the 3 tracks behind are CN Stage, North Bay. So as we scroll along, I believe as I've shown before, this is actually Penticton Station. It is now going to become the North Bay Station. It's just a beautiful model that I can't part with. So you can see the front end of the ore train here getting ready to depart. There's one of the ONR switchers I got, which will eventually end up in Englehart Yard, which still hasn't been built. And we progress across the drop section, which I did a video on earlier. Around this curve, in here there's going to be a small bay with a lake and potentially some boating, a dock or a cottage or something, I haven't decided yet. So this switch here is the end of the switch lead. The switch lead at the foreground there. And in the background, you can see the main line. As it curves around here, I'm eventually going to put a cut in here, a rock cut, as parts of the ONR go right through the Canadian Shield. And then this is the entrance to basically Temagami with that switch there. The Temagami station is basically going to go on the left here. And I plan on putting some signals in as they still have to this day in Temagami, which are ABS signals. This switch here is the switch to the Sherman mine going off to the left. So as you can see, the main line and the siding track or passing track go around the background there, which I'll have a scenic divider so you won't see everything all at once. I'm trying to have kind of one scene at one time. There's an additional switch in the Sherman mine track as I need to run around tracks and come back. Now those railway cars in the background are actually in New Liskeard, and I'll get to that in a minute. So let's just follow the mine track. You can see right where I'm pointing right here. That's about where the ore loader is going to go. And then you can see that at this switch, and then there's a tail track here where the 2 SD40s can fit. And then run around the ore train so it can run back to North Bay once the ore cars are loaded. Now on the other side of what will be a divider, this is going to be New Liskeard. So the siding here is going to be the Wabi Iron Works. This will just be a tail end track here for working around. Now where the FP7 is sitting there, and that's actually a runaround track. Actually, the main track coming into New Liskeard, I haven't laid it yet because I'm still need a left-hand Pico switch, which I'm hopefully going to pick up tomorrow. And then that track off to the left of the railway cars is actually a spur into what will be a propane dealership. These are all industries that did exist at one time in New Liskeard. And then in the foreground here, I'm going to have a stop for the New Liskeard train station, which will probably be off the layout and you won't see it. And there will also be room there for a team track. Now the track switching off beyond the train there is the National Grocers. And they at one time also had a siding in New Liskeard. So I've got enough room there for which can accommodate both a 40-foot boxcar and a 50-foot reefer. Okay, now those switches in the background, both the one where I've got the runaround track for the Sherman mine and then that one over there slightly to the left. Actually, let me correct myself. The one into the Sherman mine has a ground throw, but the one to the left is out of reach. So that one I do have set up for a toggle switch with a Tortoise switch machine. And I've also put a Tortoise in here as well, as that will activate a signal going that way, another ABS signal. So once again, that's the end of the passing tracker siding, and then this is going to be the bridge, which is the entrance into Englehart. And there's actually a picture that's off of the Historical Society calendar there. Beautiful photo taken by one of the members. And that is the actual bridge. So I'm going to be replicating it somewhat. It has the two towers. It's going to be close enough in my mind. As you can see, I'm just lining up the height there. Eventually, I'll have to shape the landscape a bit better than that. It's not going to be square and blockish like it is now. Once it comes across the bridge, there's going to be some switches. And it's just a clutter of extra rolling stock right now, which I'll have to move around, but I'll sort that out. So then there'll be some switches off to the left. And then Englehart itself is going to be, in this case, a peninsula, short peninsula. And that's where that S3 switcher I showed earlier is going to work. And initially also a GP9, which will switch New Liskeard. The New Liskeard run will run from Englehart to New Liskeard. And then off to the right, where you can see that passenger engine and cars, there will be 3 staging tracks. And I'm just going to move over here, and you'll see I've put in a shelf in behind the washer and dryer. Let me just move that. Right now it's just a piece of Homosew on top of a piece of shelving. And that piece is totally removable. It's not fastened in, it's just sitting on shelving brackets. So if I have to get at it, I can just haul it out. And so that will accommodate 2 trains, as those tracks are all tracks going north and beyond of Englehart. So that includes Cochrane, Timmins, and also the branch that goes off to Rouyn-Noranda. So lots of industry north of here, but I just have absolutely no room to model it, so staging will take a place of that. Plus I've got the 3rd track is going to be for the passenger train, which will continue on to Cochrane. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed that. Things are coming along nicely, in some cases slowly. That bridge has been a lot of work. Getting back to that bridge, actually, let me just summarize that a little bit. So basically, the bridge was a curved trestle. Here's a shot here I'll show briefly. So that shot is the way the trestle was on my old Okanagan Valley Railway. It was a bigger trestle. What I did is I recut the girders to straighten them out, because that was a curved trestle. Because I wanted to reuse one of the bridges. The other one, actually, I believe I sold it, and it was also in better condition. This one, though, I've refurbished it. It's looking pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. So I'll actually do a video on that when I'm all done it, of how I straightened out a curved bridge. I don't necessarily recommend doing that, but if you've got these micro-engineering bridges, they're not cheap, and they're a lot of work, and sweat and tears to put them together. So it's nice that I was able to refurbish it. So now, for real, that is it for this video and the update on my layout. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching my channel. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. And if you want to see more of my content about model trains and the development of my HO scale Ontario Northland, please subscribe now.